Hello everyone, I am Mr. Sunil Kumar from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, AJIT Mangalore. I am teaching you the course Finite Element Analysis. The subject code is 17ME61. The syllabus is as per VTU. We are dealing with the contents of Module 4. Until now we have completed first three modules, and we are in Module 4, and we have discussed about the basics of heat transfer in Module 4 in the last class. Today we will discuss about 1D heat transfer in composite walls. This is the third video in Module 4. Let us consider it as video 4.3. So, I am Assistant Professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, AJIT Mangalore. I would like to go through the initials of the heat transfer. Heat transfer is a branch of science which deals with transmission of heat energy from one region to another region due to temperature difference, and we have dealt with these things that heat transfer occurs by three modes. One is conduction, other one is convection, and other one is radiation. So we are dealing with conduction heat transfer. We have dealt with energy balance equation, and also we have dealt with rate equation, that is laws of heat transfer for conduction, convection, and also radiation. We have also dealt with the differential equation for 1D heat conduction. So in this class we shall discuss about the finite element formulation of 1D heat conduction, particularly in composite walls. Let us discuss about how the shape function is there for 1D heat conduction in composite walls. Instead of telling composite walls, let us discuss about a single wall first. So we are dealing with conduction. The derivation for shape function we will discuss at the first. We are dealing with 1D heat conduction. What is 1D heat conduction? What is 1D heat conduction? 1D means one dimensional flow of heat. It is assumed that the heat flows in one direction, and initially we are dealing with conduction. What is shape function? Shape function, as I have already discussed with you, shape function is an interpolation function to find out global variables when nodal variables are known. Suppose in the heat transfer problems, the variable is temperature. The variable is temperature. Here we have considered a 1D heat transfer element. This element is called 1D heat transfer element. This a particular element is having two nodes, node 1 and node 2. At node 1 temperature is T1, at node 2 temperature is T2. So this element is taken in global coordinates. So node 1 is at a distance of x1 from the coordinate axis. Node 2 is at a distance of x2 from the coordinate axis. Length of the element is x2 minus x1. We have taken a particular direction, that is only x direction. Since we have taken only x direction, that means we are doing 1D analysis. We have taken 1D element and we are dealing with one dimensional analysis, which means heat flows in one direction. Here 1D means we are taking 1D element, as well as, to be particular, 1D means we are dealing with 1D analysis, which means heat flows in one direction. That is known as 1D analysis. Element can be 1D or 2D or 3D, but heat transfer is only in one direction. So what is shape function? Now I know the value of T1 and I know the value of T2 at node 1 and node 2. T1 and T2 are the nodal temperatures. Now if I have to find out the temperature anywhere over the element, suppose at this point, then I have to use one function. That function is an interpolation function. Okay, using that function we will find the temperature anywhere over the element. That function is known as shape function. That function is known as shape function. To derive that, let us consider this element. As I told, T1 and T2 are the temperatures which are variables at node 1 and node 2. Let us consider the global variable. Global means the global variable anywhere over the element. Let us consider the temperature over the element as T, anywhere over the element as T, and let us write a temperature equation. This is not a displacement equation, this is a temperature equation. Usually while solving 1D bars, we have written the displacement equation as let u is equal to a naught plus a1x. There u was displacement, which was the variable. Here in heat transfer, temperature is the variable. In heat transfer, temperature is the variable. So we will take T is equal to a naught plus a1x. So the similar equation which we have taken in bars, the same equation we are taking in heat transfer, which means 1D heat transfer analysis is similar to that of 1D analysis of bars. Both are one and the same while doing analysis. Only the expression changes, but notation changes, equations changes, but analysis is similar. Analysis is similar. Now we have taken T is equal to a naught plus a1 x. X I have taken because it is the only coordinate axis we are taking. A0 and A1 are the generalized coordinates. A0 and A1 are the generalized coordinates. We have to find A0 and A1 and substitute back in this equation. That will give the expression for shape functions at the end. We will see. As I told, A0 and A1 are generalized coordinates. Generalized coordinates. Now let us apply boundary condition. Let us apply boundary condition. What is the boundary condition? What is boundary condition? At x is equal to x1, t is equal to t1. At x is equal to x2, t is equal to t2. That is the boundary condition. So at x is equal to x1, t is equal to t1. At x is equal to x1, temperature t is equal to t1. At x is equal to x2, temperature t is equal to t2. Now we will consider this expression, this first boundary condition, and substitute in this equation. So t is equal to t1, t becomes t1, x becomes x1. So second boundary condition we will substitute in this first assumed expression. So t becomes t1 and x becomes x2. Now let us solve these two equations, solving 1 and 2, that is 2 minus 1. If we make 2 minus 1, t2 minus t1 is equal to a1 of x2 minus x1. A0 get cancelled, t2 minus t1 will be taken as a1 of x2 minus x1. In the above expression, so a1 will be t2 minus t1 by x2 minus x1. So a1 will be t2 minus t1 by x2 minus x1. So by substituting this equation, this expression in any one of the expression above, by taking that expression in any one of the expression, either 1 or either 2, by taking this a1 value in this expression or this expression. I have taken in the first expression, so substituting 3 in 1, we will get t1 as a0 plus a1x. In place of a1 I have substituted t2 minus t1 by x2 minus x1. What is x2 minus x1? That is length of the element. Okay, we will substitute that later. We will substitute that later. So By this expression we can find A naught. By this expression we can find A naught. So A naught will be T1 minus of this term. So by simplification A naught will be written like this: T1 of x2 minus T2 of x1 divided by x2 minus x1. So we have found the value of A naught. We have found the value of A1. This A naught and A1 we will substitute in the first assumed expression. This A naught and A1 we will substitute in the first assumed expression. Then, so this is A naught plus A1 into x, that is the assumed expression. So this denominator x2 minus x1 can be written as length of the element. Now here x2 minus x1, x2 minus, here if we simplify this, we can write as T1 is having the common term x2 minus x, T2 is having the common term x minus x1. So the global temperature over the element, the global temperature over the element is some coefficient into T1 plus some coefficient into T2. That coefficient is the shape function. That coefficient is the shape function. Okay, x2 minus x1 is the length of the element. So this is not u, this is t. Please make the correction, that is t. That is t. The global variable t is equal to x2 minus x by L into T1 plus x minus x by x1 by L into T2. It is some coefficient into T1 plus some coefficient into T2, where T1 and T2 are nodal temperatures. T is the global temperature. Global temperature is shape function N1 into nodal temperature plus shape function N2 into nodal temperature. Why we are taking shape function N1 and N2 only? Because we have considered only two nodes. That is why there are two shape functions. What are the values of those shape functions? A shape function N1 is x2 minus x by LE. Shape function N2 is x minus x1 by LE. LE means length of the element. We can write simply L also, no problem. It is not a problem. We can write L also, or we can write LE also. Whichever the notation we can take, we should mention that it belongs to the length of the element. Now, if we observe these two expressions, these expressions of shape functions, these two expressions of shape functions N1 and N2 are similar to the expressions of the shape function expressions of bar element. So 1D transfer element is similar to 1D bar element. They both are, the shape functions expressions are same. We have taken in global coordinates. The expression differs in natural coordinates, but here we have taken in global coordinates. So in global coordinate system, the shape function N1 is x2 minus x by LE and N2 is x minus x1 by LE. What does it mean? It means that I know the temperature T1, nodal temperature. I know the temperature T2, the nodal temperature at node 2, and the global temperature at any point over the element is T, capital T, that is equal to N1 into T1 plus N2 into T2. Now what is the value of N1 at node 1? The value of N1 at node 1 is 1. What is the value of N2 at node 1? It is 0. What is the value of N1 at node 2? It is 0. What is the value of N2 at node 2? It is 1. Here N1 is 1. Here N2 is 1. What is N1 somewhere here? It is x2 minus x by LE. What is N2 here? X minus x1 by LE. So at anywhere over the element, it is related to, it is with respect to that expression which we have derived. So these values of N1 and N2 are applicable anywhere over the element except at node 1 and, so it can be applicable at node 1 and node 2 also. At node 1, N1 is 1, at node 2, N2 is 1. So at node 1, what is the value of x? It is x1. So if we substitute x2 minus x1, that will become length of the element once again. Length by length cancels, it will become 1. So what is N1 at node 2? At node 2, x will be x2. x2 minus x2 will be 0. So at N1 is equal to 0 at node 2. Similarly, N2 is 1 at node 2, 0 at node 1. So this expression is applicable anywhere over the element including the nodes. Okay, this is about the shape function. After writing the shape after deriving the shape function, we have to write the variation of shape function can be written as shown in this figure. We have taken one element here. We have taken one element. It is similar to bar element. It is having node 1. It is having node 2. At node 1, value of N1, this is N1 is 1. At node 2, it is 0. Nothing is shown. So it will decrease from 1 to 0 with respect to this expression. With respect to this expression. As we move on towards right side, x will be increasing. So if x increases, become x2, then N1 becomes 0 here. So it is linearly decreasing. That is why we are considering it as linear element. Linear element. Similarly, we have taken an element here. N2 is maximum here. N2 is 0 here at node 1. So it increases linearly from 0 to maximum value of 1 with respect to this expression x minus x1 by length of the element. Length of the element is L or LE. The mixture of first two sketch is described here. This is about the variation of shape function in 1D bar element. 1D heat transfer element, 1D heat transfer element. It is equivalent to bar element, that is why I have shown like that. Let us now move on to the next concept in conduction, derivation of conductivity matrix. Derivation of conductivity matrix. So this conductivity matrix is similar to the stiffness matrix of bar element. It is similar to the stiffness matrix of bar element. How we have derived the stiffness matrix of bar element? So we will try to derive in the similar fashion, but the things are little different here. Instead of calling it as stiffness matrix, we will call as element conductivity matrix. So for a particular heat transfer element, there will be conductivity matrix, convective matrix, and so on. Now let us consider the same 1D heat conduction element. I will not call it as bar element, we will call it as 1D heat transfer element. So since we are dealing with conduction, we will call it as 1D heat conduction element. Now it is having a 1D linear element having node 1 and node 2. The boundary condition is at node 1 T is T1 and at node 2 T is T2. That is the boundary condition. So the dimensional parameters of the axis with respect to global coordinate is x1 and x2. So let K, the small letter K, be the thermal conductivity of the material chosen, or let it be the thermal conductivity of the element. Thermal conductivity is the material property. So we can write it as thermal conductivity of the material, or we can write it as thermal conductivity of the element. Now the general stiffness matrix, instead of calling it as stiffness matrix, now we will call it as conduction matrix. The general conduction matrix is given as, one has to remember this expression. The general conduction matrix is given as the integration of volume. Conduction happens throughout the volume of the element. Conduction happens throughout the volume. That is why integration with respect to volume. B transpose into D into B dV. B transpose into D into B into dV, where B transpose is taken as strain displacement matrix. B transpose is generally called as strain displacement matrix in structural problems. Here we shall consider it as element property matrix. Okay, to not to be confused, throughout we are solving structural problems, let us consider it as strain displacement matrix. The B is given as the differentiation of the shape function. B is the differentiation of the shape functions. How many shape functions are there? There are two shape functions, n1 and n2. Differentiation of that shape function is known as the strain displacement matrix. Okay. Now what is D? D is material property matrix or conductivity K. D is conductivity K. D is conductivity K. Conductivity is the material property. Conduction matrix is given by this expression. Conduction matrix is given by this expression. Now we know that N1 is x2 minus x by LE, which we have derived just now. We know that N2 is equal to x minus x1 by LE, which we have derived just now. Now we will substitute these N1 and N2 in this expression. We will substitute this N1 and N in this expression. Then what is derivation of this with respect to x? Minus derivation of minus x is minus 1. Derivation of x2 is with respect to x is 0. Okay. Derivation of minus x is minus 1. Minus 1 by LE remains constant. Now here what is derivation of x? Is plus 1. So B is equal to this. Minus 1 by LE, 1 by LE. This is the matrix with two columns. It is a matrix with two columns. The strain displacement matrix is minus 1 by LE, 1 by LE. So B transpose will be 2 row matrix. Minus 1 by LE, 1 by LE. Here D is what? D is replaced by K. D is replaced by K. Now in the earlier expression, what we have, B transpose is replaced by this expression. B is replaced by this expression. D is replaced by K. D is replaced by K. After substituting the values, it is not matrix K, it is simply K. And here dV can be written as A into dx. dV can be written as A into dx. Please listen carefully. dV can be written as A into dx, where A is cross-sectional area. It is not surface area. A is cross-sectional area. And integration becomes, instead of 0 to V, it becomes 0 to L now. Because I am taking dx, integration 0 to L, because I am considering the element having the length L. We have not assumed the element with volume. We have assumed the element with length. So we are converting volume into length now. So this A and this K is taken outside this matrix, and this matrix is multiplied, and the multiplied value is written here. 1 by L square minus 1 by L square minus 1 by L square 1 by L square. So that multiplied value is also taken outside because there is no x term here. So it is integration of 0 to L 1 dx. Integration of 0 to L into 1 dx. What is integration of 1 x? After applying the limit L e or L, it becomes x becomes L or Le. So that Le is taken outside and this matrix is written. So AK Le into 1 by L square minus 1 by L square. After simplification, the conduction matrix is given by AK by Le 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. This is the conductivity matrix for 1D heat conduction or 1D heat transfer. Okay, observe here. Here K is conductivity, material property. This is conduction matrix. Suffix C is written, that is conduction matrix. Here K is conductivity, material property. So if that K is multiplied by cross sectional area A and divided by length of the element and the matrix 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, that entire terms becomes the conduction matrix of that element. Conduction matrix of that element. We have derived element conduction matrix or element conductivity matrix for 1D heat transfer. Okay, the suffix C represents conduction. The suffix C represents conduction. I hope you have understood. Now, the next concept is 1D heat conduction, which we have derived earlier, with free end convection. 1D heat conduction with free end convection. Free end convection. It is not surface convection. It is end convection. Okay, I will explain you. Now, assume the same element. 1D heat transfer element. 1D heat transfer element. Here, important thing is conduction. Along with that, there is end convection. All we are dealing with is conduction only. Along with conduction, there is end convection. Importance is given to conduction plus there is end convection. Okay. Now this element is having node 1 and the boundary condition at node 1 is T1, the temperature. And node 2 and the boundary condition is T2. T1 and T2 are the nodal variables. x2 minus x1 is the length. The entire element is taken in global coordinates. This entire subject is considered in, the entire topic is considered in global coordinates itself. Expressions are also derived in global coordinates only. Now, as usual, consider 1D bar element having two nodes. At each node, 1 degree of freedom. That is very important statement to be mentioned. So, at node 1, what is the degree of freedom? 1, because only temperature T1. What is the degree of freedom at node 2? It is 1. Degree of freedom at node 2 is 1. So total degree of freedom is per element is 2. At node 1 1, at node 2 1. So per element the total degree of freedom is 2. So there are 2 degrees of freedom per element. There are 2 degrees of freedom per element. So therefore the earlier conductivity matrix contains the matrix size as 2 cross 2 because degree of freedom is now we'll come back. Now the total degree of freedom is 2. T1 and T2 be the temperatures at node 1 and node 2 respectively. Let K be the thermal conductivity of the material. It is the conductivity as I told. Now let us assume that there is free end convection on the right side. There is free end convection on the right side. So only here at this side node 2 there is end convection, free end convection, which can be shown in the below figure as like this. Okay. So the entire element is shown in 2D now. So at node 1 the temperature is T1, at node 2 the temperature is T2. K is the conductivity of the material. We have taken in only one direction. Even though the structure is assumed looks like 2D, analysis is only 1D. That is why we call it as 1D. This is the length of the element. Now there is convection at right end. There is convection at right end. Convection at right end. There is no surface convection here. There is no surface convection. Please listen carefully. There is no surface convection. There is convection only at right end, where cross-sectional area should be considered. Where cross-sectional area should be considered. Now this convection matrix is given as. This convection matrix is given as KH end. Since we are taking only end convection, either left or right, we are taking right here. So since it is convection, we will write H. Since it is convection, we will write H. What is H? Convective coefficient. Okay. K of H is convective matrix. Convection matrix. End means end convection. It is given as once again. This expression, particularly this expression, not the above expression, this expression. It is directly, convection is directly given as n transpose into d into n. Not derivative of n transpose, it is directly n transpose into d into n. Derivative of n transpose is conductive matrix with volume, n transpose into d into n. So please neglect this which I have highlighted. So take this as the expression. It is not B transpose, it is N transpose. N transpose. In conduction we take B transpose. In convection we take directly N transpose into D into N. N transpose into D into N. What is N? N1, N2. What is N? N1, N2. What is N1? X2 minus X by LE. What is N2? X minus X1 by LE. What is D here? What is material property we are dealing with? Convection. We are dealing with convection. We will take H. D is H here. Their conduction was happening. So N1, N transpose is replaced. N is replaced. Very important concept is, I told it is 0 to A integration because we are dealing with cross-sectional area. Cross-sectional area. Convection deals with cross-section. Conduction deals with volume. We are not taking volume, we are taking cross-sectional area A. End convection, not surface convection. So that is why cross-sectional area A. And very important concept is, since node 2 is under convection, apply boundary condition at node 2. Apply boundary condition at node 2. We are dealing with convection only. X is equal to x2. Replace x as x2. Replace x as x2. Replace x as x2. Replace x as x2. So if we replace x as x2, this entire term becomes 0. If we replace x as x2, this will become LE by LE 1. This becomes 0. This becomes 1. As I told, it is N transpose N H dA. Now it is So after substituting and simplifying, we will get the convection matrix, convective matrix or convection matrix at the end as the end connection as H into A 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. Since degree of freedom is 2 per element, the matrix size is 2 cross 2. 1 is written at right bottom corner because right end is subjected to end convection. If left end is having end convection, we will write 1 here. Okay. Now this is the expression for end convection at right end. That is the expression for end convection at right end. What is the global matrix? What is the global matrix? The global matrix K is, instead of writing stiffness, we will write global matrix. You can write no problem. K is conduction plus end convection. The global matrix K is Kc plus Kh end. Conduction plus convection is the global matrix of that element. Now what will be the force vector? Since right end is having convection, the force vector is cross sectional area into convective coefficient into surrounding temperature T infinity or T alpha into N1 N2 into N1 N2. After applying boundary condition, N1 is 0. We have done that. Replace x by x2 after applying boundary condition. So the force vector for end convection is given as AHT infinity 0 1. 0 1. 1 is written here since right end is having convection, or it will be 1 0 if left hand is having convection. That 1 will come here, 0 will come here if left hand is having convection. So it is having only degrees of freedom 1, 2 because we are taking only one element. Now what is equilibrium equation? Equilibrium equation is K into T is equal to F. Please look into it. Equilibrium equation is K into T is equal to F. This is the equilibrium equation for 1D heat transfer. This is the equilibrium equation for 1D heat transfer. The K is global conductive and convective matrix. It is the addition of global conductive and convective matrix into T is equal to F. So this is global, this is a conductive matrix, this is convective matrix. So T1 T2 should be multiplied to both these two terms. In fact, should have written one bracket here. So the global matrix is combination of conduction matrix plus end convection matrix into temperature T1 T2 is equal to the force vector AH T infinity 0 1. This force vector is due to end convection only. So this is about the element conduction plus end convection, where A is the cross sectional area. We should not forget, it is not surface area, it is cross sectional area. K is the conductivity of the material, H is the convective transfer coefficient, L is the length of the element, T infinity is atmospheric temperature. Similarly, we will deal with 1D heat conduction with convection and internal heat generation. 1D heat convection and internal heat generation. What convection? Surface convection. Surface convection. I have not written end convection here. I am talking about surface convection. So this element is same, which is assumed. This is 1D element. One element is here having node 1 and node 2. At each node 1 degrees of freedom, 1 degree of freedom. So per element the degrees of freedom is 2. So node 1 is having the coordinate value x1, node 2 is having the coordinate value x2, length of the element is x2 minus x1. This is one dimensional heat transfer. One dimensional heat transfer. No, it is not traveling in transverse direction, not in any other direction. It is flowing only in one direction. Plus there is surface convection. There is surface convection above, below, surrounding this element. There is surface convection surrounding this element. We are dealing with walls. Element for finite element formulation is taken 1D, but the real structure is a wall. Okay, but there is surface convection around the element. There is surface convection around the element. I would like to tell you one thing, very important thing, students. The element is 1D, but wall may be of any structure. I am taking 1D FE element, that's all. Okay, but there is surface convection, which is very important, which is having higher value than end convection. Okay, now surface area should be taken, not the cross sectional area. Okay, as usual, let us assume like this. We have taken 1D bar element having T1 and T2 as the nodal temperatures at node 1 and node 2 respectively. Let there be conduction, surface convection and internal heat generation. Because of surface convection, there is internal heat generation also is given. Internal heat generation is also given. There is conduction K, surface convection H, internal heat generation Q bar. Please note down these things. This is conductivity, material property, conductivity which will take place toward the volume. Surface convection which will take place on the surface area. There is no end convection. You can see here both the ends are like hatched, which is similar to like the fixed ends, because there is, which means that there is no surface convection. This hatching means there is no end convection. Sorry, this hatching means there is no end convection. Please keep that in mind. There is conductivity given. There is convection, the surface convection. Internal heat generation. T infinity is surrounding temperature. T1 is nodal temperature at node 1, the specific temperature at node 1. T2 is the specific temperature at node 2. Okay, that is what given here. Q bar is internal heat generation, H is convection, means surface convection. Now, surface convection KH, I have not written end at the suffix. If I write end, it will be end convection. Okay, surface convection KH is given as integration of 0 to surface. S means surface area. I have not written A, I have written S, which means surface area. E is directly N transpose into convective heat transfer coefficient into N ds. So we know that N1 is x2 minus x by LE, N2 is x minus x1 by LE. Every derivation is similar, nothing is difficult. If you learn, if you practice once, everything is just to keep on writing. Looks bigger, looks lengthier, but things are very easy. So N transpose into convective heat transfer coefficient into N ds. So ds can be written as P into dx. Surface area is perimeter into length. Surface area is perimeter into length. Perimeter is P into length dx will be ds. If I integrate, it means that I am taking for entire element. Now ds is replaced by perimeter P into length dx. Now this is n transpose, this is n. So P is taken as ds is taken as P into dx. After substitution, we will get the multiplication of two matrices. The multiplication of two matrices here will result into this matrix. So after simplification, no need to write the detailed simplification because this is not mathematics, this is finite element analysis. Just write the expressions and jump on to the next step. So the convection matrix for surface convection, the convection matrix for surface convection is given as HPLE by 6, convective heat transfer coefficient into perimeter into length by 6, 2 1 1 2, 2 plus 2 because the degrees of freedom is 2 per element. HPLE by 6, 2 1 1 2. So the global matrix will be what we have taken, conduction plus surface convection. The global matrix is conduction plus surface convection. Okay, that is about the global heat transfer or the global conductive matrix with surface convection. The global conductive matrix with surface convection. Now there are two force vectors. One is due to surface convection, other one is due to internal heat generation. Force vectors are of two types. Force vectors are of two types. One is due to surface convection and other one is due to internal heat generation. The force vector due to surface convection is given by H T infinity P L E by 6 1 1. It depends on the surrounding temperature. It depends on the convective heat transfer coefficient of the material. Perimeter into length gives surface area into 6 1 1. It is multiplied at node 1 as well as node 2. From node 1 to node 2, the value will be same. That is why 1 1. From node 1 to node 2, the value will be same. That is why 1 1. Similarly, the force vector due to internal heat generation. The force vector due to internal heat generation is F of Q bar. F of Q bar. It is given as Q bar into A into LE. A into LE. A into LE gives the volume of the element. Internal heat generation happens throughout the volume. Okay, into internal heat generation heat flux value, that will be same at from first node to second node. That is why 1 1. The global force vector is force vector due to surface convection plus force vector due to internal heat generation. So what do we understand from this? Force vector is different for end convection. Force vector is different for surface convection. Force vector is different for internal heat generation. So the global force vector here for this case, we have considered surface convection plus internal heat generation. Anything can be asked. So after this, the equilibrium is given as k into t is equal to f. Again, there should be flower bracket here, into t1 t2 is equal to ht infinity ple by 6. This is force vector due to surface convection, force vector due to, again there should be flower bracket here, t1 t2 belongs to both. This is the global conduction matrix with free surface convection. This is force vector due to surface convection. This is force vector due to internal heat generation. If internal heat generation is not asked, no need to write this. So internal heat generation affects only force vector. It affects only force vector. So what have we learnt until now? We have learnt about how to derive the shape function for 1D transfer element. We have learnt about conductivity matrix. We have learnt about conductivity matrix with end convection. We have learnt about conductivity matrix with surface convection and internal heat generation. Internal heat generation may be there or may not be there. If it is given, we have to consider, or we should not. Now let us see about the boundary conditions in these cases. Coming to the boundary condition in 1D heat transfer. In 1D heat transfer, there are three types of boundary conditions. One is specified temperature boundary condition, specified heat flux boundary condition, convection boundary condition. Specified temperature, specified heat flux, and convection boundary condition. What is specified temperature boundary condition? Let us see this figure. Temperature at any one of the nodes will be given T naught. T naught represents temperature at this position. It is given. That temperature will be specified. T infinity is surrounding temperature. H naught is convectivity. TL is the temperature here. We are supposed to find TL. Any one temperature will be specified. If that is the case, then it is known as specified temperature boundary condition. We can see here. Consider a wall of furnace containing hot fluid at a specified temperature T naught. T naught is specified. With outer surface exposed to atmospheric temperature T infinity, the wall temperature is TL. The boundary condition for this problem is at x is equal to 0, T is equal to T naught. At x is equal to L, Q is equal to H naught. Q is equal to heat flux is equal to H naught. TL is taken as T infinity. TL is taken as T infinity. I will explain while solving problems. Don't worry. What is the specified heat flux boundary condition? The value of Q will be given. Means if there is insulation here, Q is assumed to be 0. That is the boundary condition here. If temperature is given, that is specified temperature boundary condition. If insulation is given, which means there is no surface convection or heat flux is 0, which means insulation is mentioned. If there is any insulation given, that is known as specified heat flux boundary condition. If there is any insulation given, that is known as specified heat flux boundary condition. Let us see this. Consider a wall as shown in the figure. The inner surface is insulated. The outer surface is exposed to temperature T infinity, convection temperature. The boundary condition for this problem is at Q is equal to 0, x is equal to 0, Q is equal to Q naught is equal to 0, at x is equal to L, Q is equal to H naught into TL minus T infinity. H naught into TL minus T infinity, where Q naught is specified heat flux on the boundary. Where Q naught is specified heat flux on the boundary. This is about the types of boundary conditions. If convection is given, that is known as convective boundary condition. We'll study this, we'll understand this while solving the problems. So in today's class, we have dealt with conduction, conduction with convection, end convection, conduction with surface convection, internal heat generation, and boundary conditions, specified temperature and specified heat flux and specified convection outside at the end. So there are different types of considerations. Whichever is given, we have to deal with those things. Which is not given, we have to neglect and assume that heat is flowing only in one direction. That is very important concept. We should assume that heat is flowing only in one direction. That is very important concept. Dear students, I believe that you have understood about the composite walls. In the next class, I will deal with which are the formulae to be considered and which will solve few problems. Thank you.